President Tinubu tells UN to increase action on safeguarding economically disadvantaged nations. Stepping back from the verge, normal activities resume in Kano and environs after a 24-hour curfew.
I pray that your Lordship don't fall into such snare in the course of your accession.
My wish is that they will do the right thing at all times.
Also tonight, CJN charges appeal court justices on professionalism. Good evening and welcome to Network News. I'm Cyril Stover in Abuja. In Lagos, I have Hingino John Adams joining me tonight on the news. And just remember, you can watch this news live on our website, www.nta.ng/live, and also on some of our other social media platforms displayed on your screen. Well, President Bola Tinubu says African nations will no longer accept a situation where human rights advocacy is used to deter developing economies from checkmating malign actors who illicitly siphon and smuggle out the continent's vast mineral resources while smuggling in weapons which enrich the wealthiest economies in the world at the expense of African stability and wealth creation. President Tinubu took the message to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the global body's headquarters in New York City. State House correspondent Musbaut Wahab reports.
The sideline events for President Bola Tinubu in New York were getting to the climax as he visited the global governing body's helmsman. It was going to be another meeting of frank talk as President Tinubu again bore his mind on perceived injustice to African nations. The Nigerian leader noted that the United Nations must transform from being one of the world's foremost talk shops to discuss global issues into becoming the world's foremost action coordination center, saying that a situation in which 70% of resources being devoted to the world's poorest countries are being spent and sent back out on overheads and administrative costs will defeat the purpose and objectives of the organization where help is needed most. He believes the poverty ravaging Africa and the question of security and counter-terrorism requires nations to work in close and effective synergy. The president said Nigeria will no longer shy away from confronting the enemies on its land. As he said, he fought and was detained for democracy and is now determined as president to prove that democracy can provide the development that the nation and the continent so urgently demands. And Antonio Guterres emphasized that the UN system is in the process of real reform that will largely address some of the institutional lack of decision-making power for the developing world, on whose behalf more than 75% of UN resources are accrued. The UN Secretary General further assured President Tinubu of the fullest support of the border system for ECOWAS in light of a series of military coups which have occurred in the West African sub-region in the past few months and years. The Nigerian leader also stopped by at the office of his Nigerian sister and Deputy Secretary General of the UN, Amina Mohammed.
God bless you.
Earlier, the president was at the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotation Stock Markets, NASDAQ office, an American stock exchange based in New York City. The U.S. African Business Center of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce hosted the Nigerian leader. Not just as the president, his track record as Lagos State Governor went ahead of him.
He was named the best governor in Nigeria by the Nigerian-Belgian Chamber of Commerce, as well as receiving several other awards. Congratulations.
Again, an opportunity used to a maximum advantage as the Chief Marketing Officer of Nigeria projects his country's readiness for business.
There's an immense opportunity in Nigeria that you can invest your money without fear. We've removed a lot of bottlenecks. You are free to take in your money and bring out your money. I count on you to invest in Nigeria.
And here, at the Nasdaq market site in Times Square, the honor does not come bigger than performing the iconic bell-ringing ceremony.
We're here to acknowledge the significant strides that the capital markets have made since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu became president. For people who observe our capital markets, we have seen, market performance very strong. Investors have reacted very strongly to the policy changes that he has implemented.
So we are here, we are discussing, we are going to see how we can get investors to come and support Nigeria and support the initiative of His Excellency Mr. President. I think it is an exciting moment.
The ceremony symbolizes the significance of economic ties between the United States of America and Nigeria. From New York, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
Well, with the hunger still ongoing in New York, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu continues his advocacy for Nigeria at the global stage. Like most of the other world leaders, President Tinubu, while focusing on Nigeria and Africa's dire realities, is also seeking partnerships to better the lot of Nigerians, Africans, and the world at large. Well, here now is the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, joining us from New York with a preview of some of the President's other engagements, but importantly, how all of that improves Nigeria's standing in the Committee of State. Honorable Minister, thanks for joining us on Network News tonight.
Thank you, Cyril. Thanks for having me.
Right. Now, how would you rate the President's first major outing on the global stage, knowing other international engagements pale in comparison? As a maiden outing at the United Nations General Assembly, how would you say he has fared so far?
Well, it's been a fantastic outing for the President of Nigeria. As you know, and as you have said, this is the first major outing he's had. It's been a leadership position he has taken. He was there not just for Nigeria, but for Africa as a whole. He has shown strong commitment for Nigeria to lead the African nation. He has also shown the commitment of Nigeria and the present administration to expand the horizon, open up the Nigerian economy so that people can come in, like he has said, come in with your money, take it out when you need, but come to Nigeria. Nigeria is open for business, and that's the central message that Mr. President, has been reading out.
Well, clearly, as you've stated, it's a massive opportunity to sell Nigeria, especially as you talk of inviting direct foreign investments. Now, in this regard, what are the low-hanging fruits arising from some of the President's past engagements, would you say?
Well, as you know that before even coming to New York, Mr. President has been to India. He's also had a stopover in the United Arab Emirates. He came here with a strong message, first from Nigeria, to tell the world that Nigeria is open for business in that direction. As you said, he met with the UN Secretary General and with the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, our own Amina Mohammed. He also had strong discussions with the world leaders. He's had a commitment from especially the ExxonMobil. The president of the ExxonMobil upstream, has pledged 40,000 additional barrels of oil per day as a new push for Nigeria's further, investment in the country. He has also had, engagements with Africa, other world leaders, African leaders. He met with, the business community. He met with people in the IT, the tech community, in the oil industry, and so many other ones. So a lot of low-hanging fruits. We're already beginning to see investors, promising to come to Nigeria to invest, massive amounts of money for the progress of our country and for the development of the world. And his message all the time is that first, Nigeria shouldn't be pitied. Africa shouldn't be pitied. There should be a level playing ground. There should be some kind of mutually respectful relationship between Nigeria and the rest of the world. Times have gone past when Nigeria has been looked at as, or Africa has been looked as a continent that people can be pitied. He has said, open up the field, let's compete. We have, the right skills for Nigerians and for other people from the rest of Africa to play their own part in in the development of the world. And the message is that, look, open it up. We are there for you. Don't pity us. Make let there be a level playing field. And Nigeria is ready to participate.
All right. But quickly, Minister, can you just give us a preview of some of the other engagements of the President there in New York, and how some of these meetings on the sidelines of the UNGA might benefit Nigeria?
Well, first you saw him with the President of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa. You saw him with the President of the Union of Comoros, President Azumani. You saw him with King Hussein of Jordan. You saw him with the President of Angola. And all of them, are ready to rally around Nigeria to ensure that Nigeria also takes a rightful place. It appears that the world is welcoming Nigeria back to its fold. So much is happening, and Nigeria is being expected to lead the way. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing just that. Nigeria is becoming a very important nation once again. It's taking its rightful place. President Bola Tinubu is speaking, like I said earlier, not just for Nigeria, but for the rest of Africa. Open up the space. We're there. We'll participate. We'll compete, and Nigeria and Africa will be the best for it.
All right, we'll leave it at that point. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, thank you for being with us on Network News tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. But in the meantime, calls for action on climate change have been at the front and center of the 78th United Nations General Assembly holding in New York. President Bola Tinubu's take on the issues as outlined in his address to the summit hinged essentially on political consensus that highlights remedial actions to promote security and economic development. Let's listen in to how the president couched his message.
Fight climate change, but must do so on fair and just terms. To achieve the need popular consensus, this campaign must accord with overall economic efforts. In Nigeria, we shall build political consensus by highlighting remedial actions which also promote economic good. Projects such as Green Wall to stop desert encroachment, halting the destruction of our forests by mass production and distribution of gas burning stoves.
Well, now let's discuss this and other issues imperative for greater action on climate change with Professor Awal Farouk Abdul Salam, Professor of Applied Climatology and Meteorology, Kaduna State University. Prof, thanks for joining us on Network News.
Thank you.
Right. I'm sure you've been following proceedings at the UN General Assembly, especially the ongoing conversation on climate change. And we just wondered, what's your thoughts about how some Western countries like the UK are rolling back actions on their net zero targets, and how the inaction of some other countries could impede progress on the global action on climate change?
Cyril, I am following the UNGA, and especially like you said, the issue of climate change. And what is going on is not surprising, especially to the climate activists or the climate science community, because even during the COP25, most of the promises made during COP21 in Paris in 2015 were a bit rolled, played down. And that is why it's not surprising to see these countries, these nations are rolling back. And, the issue of climate change is tied with the issue of economy of the country, is tied with the issue of politics. And that is why most of these, big nations in court will find it definitely to go into the path of the zero emission.
Well, Prof, where do you stand on this clamor of debt forgiveness for action by some countries and groups for climate action? What are your thoughts on this approach? And does that align with some of what President Tinubu and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa inferred by saying that Africa was paying for the negative impact of the EU's industrialization and the global West?
Well, sincerely, it's a very interesting, call coming up in the climate change issue discussion. And I think it's an honest and genuine demand by these countries. If you look at the percentage of gas emission globally, you look at the map, you will see the entire African continent is emitting less than 5%. And unfortunately, by geography, by other underlying socio-economic issues, the African continent, especially the sub-Saharan African continent, is classified as one of the hotspots of climate change. So, all the negotiations going on during the conference of parties are negotiations mostly, left there. But the implementation is a big issue. Accessing the fund, accessing the technology has been a problem. So it might be another way, for a respite for some of these African countries to have access to, because forgiving debt is like accessing money. So I think it's a very interesting, angle these leaders are exploring, and I think it's genuine.
Well, Awal Farooq Abdul Salam, Professor of Applied Climatology and Meteorology, Kaduna State University, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Well, while the world pursues peace at the global stage, the message of reconciliation again resonates as women mark this year's International Day for Peace. Patricia Isamiluba reports that advocates of peace are saying value must be put where it belongs for tangible results to be achieved.
Indeed, never has our world needed peace more than ever. These young ladies are sending a strong message for peace to reign across the globe, which is in tandem with the role women play as mediators in peace building and in reconciliation.
Women are saying that we have our skills and capacity. We do not want war, because in war there cannot be development.
Malaysia also calls for greater representation of women in peace negotiation and mainstreaming gender.
To speak to the world and say, truly, we want to be part of the stakeholders, we want to be part of the things that are happening.
Our political parties must make it mandatory that if the chairman of a political party is a man, then the deputy national chairman must be a woman.
The 1.9 million displaced persons in Nigeria, majority of them in the IDP camps are women and children.
Peace, according to this group of advocates, is a prerequisite for the socio-economic development in any nation. As such, the one-day symposium canvasses for a concerted efforts towards ensuring women are given some consideration on the negotiating table for the desired peace in the country.
The administration will look at this because you have no excuses when it's a appointed position. Why you can't even give women 50-50?
Women are not adequately represented. So it's very important that we give more room and opportunity for women.
If women are there, this peace that we are talking, we are crying, we are looking, it will be easier.
This year's theme, as tagged by the United Nations, is Actions for Peace, our ambition for the hashtag global goals. It is a call to action as it recognizes the individual and collective responsibility of all to foster peace, which contributes to the realization of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that will create a culture of peace for all. In Abuja, Patricia Isamiluba, NTA News.
I will take a break here. The news continues in just a moment. Thanks for staying with us. It's already a little over 3 hours since residents of Kano regained freedom of movement following the expiration of the 24-hour curfew imposed by the state government and enforced by security operatives to curb civil unrest in the wake of the judgment of the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal. Abdullahi Mustafa is our man in Kano with the ears to the ground. Abdullahi, good to see you tonight from the Center of Commerce. Now, by virtue of your work, you obviously have the privilege to move around during the curfew. Now, how did Kano and its environs reawaken to the expiration of the curfew? Surely it would have been slow, but we're talking about Kano here, and the situation is still fluid. Where are you, and what can you tell us about the last couple of hours in Kano?
Cyril, I'm presently at Hospital Road by Audubako Road Junction in Nasarawa GRA here in Kano Metropolis. And as you rightly said, unlike yesterday when the curfew was imposed, this morning, throughout the day rather, the streets have been deserted, all businesses were not opened, people remain indoors. Only those on essential services could be seen moving around or doing their lawful engagements. But soon after the pronouncement by the Commissioner for Information that the Governor directed the State Commissioner of Police to lift the curfew, people started coming out, going to their normal, especially those engaging in nighttime businesses, as here in this place, where people have since opened their shops. It is a joint where some people come to rest, as you can see in the background. They park their vehicles, shops, barber shops, and tea shops have all opened. And it seems things have returned to normal. Here, this is a reflection of what is happening in most parts of the city, especially, and tomorrow, hopefully, markets will open and all other businesses.
Do also cover the Kano State Government House, and we're curious as to the situation there in the last 24 hours in terms of ensuring peace and fostering good governance. That's in spite of all that has happened lately.
Yesterday, later in the evening, when the governor, because he was away, and soon after he flew into the city, he delivered a state special broadcast, where he enjoined people of the state to remain calm and be law-abiding, and assured that all measures will be taken to ensure law and order across the state. And he also assured that this is a temporary, what he called unpleasant outcome will not deter his government from continuing with the execution of policy and programs of the administration. And in fact, this afternoon he presided over weekly meeting of the State Executive Council, and any moment from now they will be rising from that meeting, and the outcome of the resolutions of the meeting will be made public. So it seems business of governance have continued without any hindrance.
All right, Abdullahi Mustafa, our correspondent in Kano, thanks for the update. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
In other news, the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Central Bank of Nigeria has deferred its 293rd meeting scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, September 25 and 26, 2023. A statement by the Director of Corporate Communications Department of the bank, Isa Abdul Mumin, indicates that a new date will be communicated in due course. The Apex Bank says it regrets any inconvenience the change may cause to stakeholders and the general public. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated his wife of many years, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, as she clocks 63 years. In a statement that he personally signed, the president recalled their journey of love and marriage together, describing his wife Oluremi as a trusted ally in the journey of life and destiny over the past 36 years. He says he looks forward to many more years of purposeful union together and prayed God to bless her with more good health and longevity. The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, has conferred 528 persons with its Fellowship Award. This was at the just concluded three-day national conference held in Abuja. Bosade Abel reports that this induction serves as a guiding light to members as they continue to uphold the integrity of the profession.
The discussion continues as members and panelists deliberated on sustainability and integrity of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria by changing the dynamics of the ecosystem and moving with evolving trends of technology.
So the accountant needs protection. If the internal audit department is strong, the accountant work will be easier.
The outing for this year has been spectacular. And we had registered a code to ourselves by way of behavior. So I'm expecting next year's behavior will be better than what we have done this year.
For the 528 members conferred with the Fellowship Award, it is an opportunity to change the narrative of the profession, which requires more hard work with positive impacts.
I've been working for the betterment of Nigerian economy. Today, mark another beginning.
And I want to encourage my colleagues in NTA that they should buckle up and make sure they become fellow by next year.
A colorful display of unity in diversity was demonstrated, representing the 6 geopolitical zones. As the curtain draws to a close on this year's conference, members are urged to continue to champion the cause of the profession for the good of society. In Abuja, Bosede Abel, NTA News.
Turning to the judiciary now, Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has charged the 9 newly appointed justices of the Court of Appeal to maintain professionalism in the discharge of their duties. The CJN gave the charge at the swearing-in ceremony of the justices held at the Supreme Court. Chukunonso Mwabweze reports.
The administration of oath of allegiance as well as the judicial oath by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, on the 9 new justices cemented their elevation to the appellate court.
Gifts and work that are not worked for, which are by extension undeserving, are always destructive and calamitous in nature. I pray that your Lordship don't fall into such snare in the course of your accession to the pinnacle of your career.
Guests who cut across the legal profession, senior government officials, politicians, as well as the traditional institution and relatives of the newly elevated justices encouraged their lordships not to fail in their new responsibilities.
I look forward to a better output from them with influx of 9 judges. So we hope it will bring about speedy dispensation of justice.
My wish is that they will do the right thing at all times, that they will not let this country down.
This is one of the highest number of Court of Appeal justices to be sworn in the recent past, following the unprecedented 18 justices that were sworn in June 2021, as well as 12 in November 2012. Chukunonso Mwabweze, NTA News.
Time to go over to Hingino John Adams in Lagos for more reports on Network News. Hingino.
Thank you, Cyril. The Nigeria Police Force has taken strategic steps in combating vehicle-related offenses through the introduction of digitalized Central Motor Vehicle Registration (CMR) to strengthen national security framework across the country. This transformative initiative was announced by the Force Public Relations Officer Odumuyiwa Adejobi in Lagos.
In tackling internal security-related crimes, especially those associated with car theft, kidnapping, hit and run, use of unregistered vehicles, and tinted windows, the Central Motor Registration (CMR) unit of the police force has given a facelift to operate seamlessly in delivering real-time retrieval and response to vehicle-related crimes across the country. The revitalization and digitalization of the CMR Force Public Relations Officer said will improve data accessibility and enhance efficiency of the police to eliminate vehicle-related crimes.
This innovative system contributes to reducing crimes by providing comprehensive details and statuses of vehicles, enhancing law enforcement efforts, and serving as a powerful deterrent against unlawful activities.
The police spokesperson announced that a network of 37 CMR information centers have been established and equipped to monitor and manage motor vehicle-related information across Nigeria, and only the CMR is entrusted with the responsibility of issuing documentation for vehicle owners.
We have recently received intelligence regarding the existence of a platform called VREG. VREG allegedly operated by a private company engaged in performing Nigerian police central motor registry duties. This is not acceptable.
Force Public Relations officers also hinted that the Nigeria Police has set up a committee to review issuance of tinted permit, which has also posed challenges to the force in relation to kidnapping and theft. Talking maritime now, creating an ecosystem that thrives on local fabrication of seagoing vessels and investment in barge operations, while equally simplifying the process of doing business for owners, will go a long way in activating the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy to deliver gains. Stakeholders, while sharing this view, also want the federal government to address the issue of certification of Nigerian seafarers in order to boost employability in the global market. Michael Olaleye reports.
The general notion that the seas and oceans contribute 90% to international trade is enough to buttress a common adage that doing business with the water cannot end in tears. Nigeria is not just treading this path, but stakeholders believe the creation of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry will give room for careful analysis of opportunities and positioning strategically on how well they can be tapped.
The non-oil exportation we are clamoring on is going to boil down on water. The major economy revenue we are getting is on water, and as such, if we take good care of our water resources, we have a lot to benefit from the water.
As a way of fast-tracking the harvest period, stakeholders say investment in vessel and shipbuilding should be prioritized.
If the government can invest and encourage people to build locally made tugboats and barges that are even seagoing, like we see the Lekki Free Ports now, there is a need for seagoing barges, but because of the costs at which these things are being gotten, you see people don't want to invest.
Although the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, CVFF, once fully implemented, is projected to increase the number of ships flying the Nigerian flag, and beyond that, there are recommendations on simplifying the process for registration so as to have more seafarers on board ships.
If given the opportunity, if cabotage is working, this sea is big enough to employ 5,000 today. And you can imagine what it means to take 5,000 youths out of loitering.
Driving these lofty goals to reality, industry players say should be supported with the establishment of maritime development banks. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
Be reminded that you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. The news continues after this break.
And it's time to talk business with Benny.
Thank you, Cyril, and welcome to Business. The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment has intensified the campaign for coconut sufficiency in Nigeria come 2027. This envisions the plantation of 10,000 hectares in each of the country's coconut viable states, in addition to one family, 3 coconut trees initiative. These experts say 1 hectare of coconut plantation with 200 trees, has the expected yield of 100 nuts from each tree after 3 to 4 years of planting, and that equals 20,000 nuts.
So selling it at 500 naira, 20,000 times 500 naira, that is 10 million naira from just 1 hectare of coconut plantation with 200 trees.
And last week we got 2 different people in New York and New Jersey wanting to shelve our coconut product in their stores in the United States of America, apart from the people we sell to them in white labels that don't unbranded. Now we have people who are even interested in shelving the products, and it's been an exciting journey so far.
It has more than 300 derivatives, with the hogs as the most expensive part of it. A quick look at the equities market. The market capitalization of the Nigerian equities saw a loss of 35 billion naira to close at 37.365 trillion naira, 0.09% lower than 37.4 trillion naira recorded in the previous trading session. A total of 1.1 billion shares in 7,949 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.8 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 98% improvement in volume, 8% improvement in turnover, but 3% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 37.4 trillion naira. Universal Insurance Company recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Owando and Jopol Gold Ventures. That is Business News. Network News continues with Cyril. Cyril, it's nice doing business with you.
Same here, Benny. Thanks. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris Malagi, has congratulated the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, as she marks her 63rd birthday. The minister, in a statement by the Deputy Director of Press, Suleiman Haruna, acknowledged the role the First Lady is playing in improving the fortunes of the less privileged citizens, as clearly shown within a few months into the life of the current administration, to establish herself as mother of the nation. He prayed God to grant her long life in sound health. 73 Nigerian students are off to Hungary as beneficiaries of the 2023 scholarship of the Ministry of Education. Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports that the students made the list out of more than 100 who participated in the screening exercise.
In 1999, the federal government, in a bid to strengthen the bilateral education agreement with its development partners and develop required capacity for nation building, revitalized bilateral education agreement BAA scholarship programs with some countries. The arrangement has continued since then, with more countries joining the venture in spite of the global economic meltdown. Nigeria also awards scholarship to China and Romania.
Your selection as scholars is part of a broader plan of deepening the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which ensures that brilliant Nigerians, especially those that cannot afford study programs that are not readily available in Nigeria, are supported to get the necessary knowledge, skill, and competencies that will be useful in Nigeria development agenda.
Like Nigerian ambassadors, the students were presented documents as if they were receiving letters of credence.
You are going to foreign lands, you are representing Nigeria, you will be the face of Nigeria anywhere you go to.
What remains to be seen is how productive these upcoming young men and women will be at the end of their studies to enable them play a major role in national development. Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Gisalo, is calling for a more liberal process that will allow opportunities for deserving Nigerians to be conferred with the National Order of Merit Award. The minister made the appeal when he paid a visit to the Nigerian National Merit Award, an agency under his supervision. Kenneth Nanim reports.
How best to achieve economic growth, job creation, access to capital, food security, ending poverty, amongst others, which are the key 8 priority areas of the present administration, topped the discussion.
I urge PS and your staff
to key in to Mr. President's agenda. And my hope that in the next 1 year, when you come for evaluation, this ministry should be the first who have performed.
The Executive Secretary of the National Lottery Trust Fund, Dr. Bello Megari, briefed the minister on the prospects and various interventions of the agency.
The project will also promote transparency, accountability in the sector, and gender confidence in order to attract huge investments.
This visit presents an opportunity for us to align our efforts and maximize our impact with a vision to the betterment of the lives of our citizens.
In addressing some of the challenges, the minister promised to intervene, especially in securing a permanent office space befitting the agency. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Was actually the Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Jisalo, at the National Lottery Trust Fund. Time for another quick break. Stay with us. Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni has met with the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed, in his office in Abuja to discuss areas of cooperation towards improving security in Yobe State. During the visit, Buni informed his host that security has greatly improved across the state, but said his administration intends to exploit all available opportunities to improve the security situation. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed, while commending Governor Buni for his proactiveness and commitment, assured him of the federal government's support in that regard. The management and staff of the Voice of Nigeria are still reeling from the murder of one of its Hausa service correspondents, Hamisu Denjibga, who was kidnapped in the early hours of Monday, September 18, 2023, by terrorists in Zamfara State. A statement signed by the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Osita Okechukwu, describes late Denjibga as a committed, dedicated, and diligent reporter who served in different capacities in his long career. While extending his heartfelt condolences to the immediate family, the Director General urges security agencies to fish out the perpetrators of the act and prosecute them to the full extent of the law. The death has been announced of Madam Luna Munilola Bamishai of Ilojo family, Ijesha Ishuekiti. A night of tributes has been held earlier today at her residence in Ijaku, Akure, while a commendation service will hold tomorrow, Friday, September 22, by 10 a.m. at Ebenezer African Church, Akure. A funeral service in honor of late Mrs. Bamishai is scheduled to hold on Saturday, September 23 at 10 a.m. at Hosanna African Church Cathedral, Ijesha Ishuekiti. Her remains will be interred immediately afterwards. And that concludes Network News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.